This video is just a quick review of the triangle sum theorem that hopefully you guys learned in 7th grade. The triangle sum theorem tells me that the sum of the three interior angles, or the three angles inside of a triangle, equals 180. So a quick sketch of a triangle, just a random triangle. It's telling me that if I added up this angle plus this angle plus this angle, and if you can't see it, I'm referring to these angles right here. If I added those three up, no matter what triangle it is on, it will always equal 180 degrees, okay? The three angles of a triangle will always equal 180. It doesn't matter what triangle I'm looking at. So to quickly review, I'm going to practice a few problems that kind of say that. So it says, determine the measure of the unknown angle in each triangle. So if it gives me two of them, and I know that all three of them equal 180, I'm just going to write a quick expression kind of. So I'm going to label B as x to find it. So x plus 78, or an equation, sorry, not an expression, plus 37 equals 180, right? Because I know that the three of them together have to equal 180. So I'm just going to combine my like terms. 78 plus 37 is 115. So now I have x plus 115 is equal to 180. I'm going to solve this as a simple one-step equation. I do the opposite. So because the 115 is being added, I'm going to subtract it from both sides, which would just leave me with x over here. Subtract 115. 180 subtract 115 tells me that x equals 65. So my unknown angle right here is 65. And if I were to add those all together, 65 plus 78 plus 37, here on my calculator if you can see it, it equals 180, and that will always be the case, okay? All right, so I'm going to try and find my next one. I'm trying to find R right here. So on the last one, if you look, what I ended up doing was taking 180 and subtracting my other two angles from it. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. I'm going to take 180, and I'm going to subtract 80, and then subtract 66, and that should tell me the measure of angle R. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. So 180 subtract 80 is 100, and 100 subtract 66 is 34. So that tells me that R should equal 34. So this right here is 34 degrees. And again, if I were to add them all together, 34 plus 66 plus 80 equals 180. Okay? Awesome. So there's two more problems we're going to try, and they're back here. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just finding the unknown angle. So I know that this angle is 28 and this one is 35. So 28 plus 35 plus the measure of angle L is going to equal 180. So 28 plus 35 is 63. So now I have 63 plus L equals 180. I want to get L by itself, so I'm going to subtract 63 from both sides. All right, 180 minus 63 is 117. So that tells me that L should equal 117. And this angle right here is L. So there you go. And 117 plus 28 plus 35 does equal 180. So I am doing it right. And then my last one over here, I have 90 plus 32, which is 122, plus whatever G is going to equal 180. So I'm going to subtract 122 from both sides. And that should tell me that G equals 180 minus 122. So G is going to equal 58 in this case. So up here, the angle measures 58. And that makes sense, actually, because if I'm looking at it, I feel like this is smaller than 90, obviously, so that looks like it's about 58 degrees. Okay, the other part that we want students to understand with the triangle sum theorem is that we can tell side lengths based on just the measures of the angles. Even if it doesn't tell us every single side length, I can tell like which one is going to be the longest, which one's going to be the shortest, which one's going to be the mediumest. I don't know, that's not really a word, but. So the rule is my longest side, okay, my longest side is directly across from my biggest angle or my largest angle. And these are interior angles, just so you guys know. Okay, my long side is across from my biggest angle. My shortest side is across from my smallest angle, you might be able to tell, which means my medium side is across from my medium angle. So I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to kind of apply it. So it says list the side lengths from shortest to longest. So the first thing I need to do is figure out my missing angle. Like, I can't do anything before I figure out how big this angle is. So I'm just going to use the triangle sum theorem. I'm going to take 180 and I'm going to subtract 47 from it. Okay, and that gives me 133. And then I'm going to subtract 35 from that because I want both sides out. And that tells me that my missing angle is 98 degrees, okay? So now I have my three angles, 47, 35, 98. I'm going to look and figure out which one is my smallest angle. My smallest angle is definitely 35. If I go across from 35, that leads me to side X. So X is my smallest side. My next smallest angle that I'm looking at seems to be 47, right? So if I go directly across from 47, it leads me to Z. So Z would be my next smallest side, which tells me that Y is my biggest, and Y is across from 98, which is my biggest angle, so Y has to be my biggest side. Okay, let's look at the next one. So I'm still missing an angle. I need to figure out that first. I have 81 and 52. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 81 plus 52, and it tells me that it's 133. I'm going to subtract that number from 180 because the triangle sum theorem tells me that all three should equal 180. So that's telling me my leftover angle is 47 degrees. So I'm going to start by looking for my smallest angle. My smallest angle looks like it is 47. Across from 47 is P, so my smallest side is also P. Okay, next let's try and find my biggest angle. I want to start there. Now my biggest angle looks like it's 81. Across from 81 is M, so M is definitely my biggest side. And that leaves N left over, so N has to be my middle side, right? And if you look, 52, across from 52 is N, so that worked. Okay. And on this last one, it gets a little bit trickier because I have two triangles pushed together, but I still want to find all of them. So I'm going to start by finding my missing angle. So I'm missing this angle right here and this angle right here. Okay, ignoring that triangle for a second, I have a side or an angle that's 50 and an angle that's 38. So on my calculator, I'm going to do 50 plus 38. It tells me that it is 88, if you can see that. I'm going to subtract that from 180. To find my missing angle. It says my missing angle is 92. So this angle right here is 92 degrees. Now I need to find this angle. So now I'm going to cover up the opposite. I have an angle that's 45 and an angle that's 50. Because I know 50 plus 45 is 95, I would just subtract 95 from 180. And it tells me that my missing angle is 85. So this angle right here is 85 degrees. Okay, now by just looking at the triangles, which one appears to be smaller? Like this triangle obviously looks bigger to me, this one is smaller. So when I'm listing them in order from shortest to longest, I'm going to start with my smallest triangle. I'm going to kind of hide my other one for a second. Okay, my smallest angle is 38, and directly across from 38 is line F. So I think F is my shortest side. Then I'm looking at my next one. It looks like my next smallest angle is 50, and across from 50 is E. So I think E is probably my next smallest side. And now G is across from 92. That's pretty big. So I'm going to look at my other triangle and see what that triangle is looking like before I list my next one. So now I'm going to cover up this one. My smallest angle over here is 45. And across from 45 is angle G, or is line G. So that does mean that G has to be my next smallest side. Okay. Then on this triangle, I see 50 is the next smallest. 50 is across from H. So H is my next line segment. And that leaves my biggest line segment being D. D G is across from 85, so G is my biggest. And I did take care of 92 right here. 92 corresponds to G, and although it was the biggest angle on this triangle, it doesn't mean it's the biggest between the two of them. So it did fall directly in the middle, actually, and that's how that worked. So again, you have to remember the triangle sum theorem, which tells me that my three angles inside a triangle, here it is, I was like, where'd it go? The triangle sum theorem tells me the sum of the three interior angles of a triangle will always equal 180, no matter what triangle I have. And that allowed me to find my missing angles and then order my sides. And again, your longest side is directly across, maybe I should write that so you guys can see it. It is across from your biggest angle, and your shortest side is also directly across from your smallest angle.